Hi, I'm Sam, and in this video I'm going to cover how to winterize your camper van plumbing so nothing bursts or leaks in a freeze. And as long as you keep a few things in mind when you design a water system for a camper van, then the winterization is pretty straightforward. In this video I'm going to cover when you need to winterize your system, how to design your system to make that easy to do, and then go step by step through the winterization process. When should you winterize your van? If your van's going to sit in temperatures below freezing or below 32 degrees Fahrenheit, then you should winterize it. It only takes one really cold night to crack a plumbing fitting or damage your water pump from water freezing and expanding on the inside. I'm mostly going to be talking about all this in the context of storing your van in the wintertime. If you're actively using your van and traveling around in freezing temps, then there's some different things you want to keep in mind. For full-time winter use, you're probably going to be running a heater in your interior space in order to keep the inside comfortable enough to be in. When doing this, just make sure that the hot air is able to circulate to wherever your plumbing and especially your water tank is located. You also want to have insulation to buffer any of these key components from your exterior walls and your floor. If you use PEX piping for your plumbing, then the tubing itself is somewhat freeze tolerant because the PEX can expand as that water freezes inside. But this doesn't apply to the fittings, valves, your water pump, and all the other components in the system. If you use exterior undermounted tanks rather than tanks on the interior, then you're going to need to put heating pads on them or take some other precautions. So when you're not going to be in the van and running the heat, then here are the design features that make winterizing your water system easier. So first off, your freshwater tank is going to need to have a drain so you can empty all that water out. This tank has a drain that goes through 1/2-inch PEX here, has a cutoff valve, and then it turns and drops down through the floor so that water drains directly to the exterior. A larger diameter drain pipe would allow the tank to drain faster, but if you're okay with it draining a little slower, then using 1/2-inch PEX for this allows you to use the same tubing as the rest of your supply plumbing and just keep that material list a little simpler. The next thing you need are low point drains, and the locations of these depends on how your plumbing is routed around your space. The low point drain is just what it sounds like. Anywhere you have a low spot in the plumbing where it then rises up again, you need to add a drain, again with a valve that goes through the floor so that you can empty the water from those stretches of plumbing when you winterize it. In this van, this was just needed here under the sink, where the water lines come from the back and then go up to the faucets. Now here, the lines tee off and then have a valve, and then this part goes down through the floor so the water can drain out to underneath. That allows you to drain off this whole section of plumbing around the sink. If you have a water heater, then you need a way to drain the water inside the water heater to prevent it from getting damaged. For this water heater, you can drain it by manually opening this valve on the overpressure relief valve, and it lets the water flow out, and it's got a tube that then routes down through the floor to the exterior. It's also good to have bypass valves for your water heater so that if you do add RV antifreeze to your system, you can bypass the water heater when doing so. The last design elements, which you may either want one or both, is to one, have a way to blow air into the system to push out any remaining water, or two, a way to pump in some RV antifreeze. I'll talk more about this later on in the step-by-step part. If you're working on installing or improving the water system in your camper van and need a reference design, I have a downloadable water system diagram on my website. I'll share a link to it in the description below. I recently updated it to include the hot water system as well. So let's go ahead with the step-by-step process to get this winterized. The first thing I'm going to do is make sure that the water pump is switched off and the water heater is switched off. I'm also going to remove the fuse for the water heater so it can't accidentally get turned off while its tank is drained, because running the water heater with no water in it can damage the heating element inside. Now I'm going to drain the freshwater tank by opening its drain valve. Now I'm going to open those low point drains, the ones I have under here, and I'm going to go ahead and open the faucets. Opening the faucets will help break any vacuums and let that water work its way out. And you do want to keep in mind to give it some time on both the cold side as well as the hot side. While those continue to drain, I'll drain the hot water heater by opening its relief valve at the bottom. The hot water faucet needs to be open to the hot side in order for air to enter the other side and that water to work its way out. On the water pump, I'm going to remove the strainer at the input of the pump and dump any water inside of it. In my van, I've actually cracked one of these strainers before from leaving water in it during a freeze. It's basically a cup of water here, and if you leave it filled with water, it's going to expand, and it's just very susceptible to damage. If you have a drinking water filter under your sink, you'll also want to remove that as well so it doesn't get damaged. Now that we've drained out as much water as we can using gravity, we have two options to get the rest out, or you can use a combination of both. You can either use an air compressor to blow out any water that still may be trapped in the lines, or you can pump in some RV antifreeze to protect the system. Let's go through the air compressor route first. If blowing air through the system with an air compressor, the most important thing is to limit the air pressure. I'd keep it under 45 psi, and I'm going to aim for the 30 to 40 psi range so I don't damage any of the plumbing by putting too much pressure through it. Most air compressors have a regulator on the output that allows you to dial up or down whatever that output is. You'll also need some sort of adapter for connecting between your air hose and your plumbing lines, and this is going to vary depending on your setup. Ideally, we want to blow the air in somewhere past the pump output into our cold supply line. I'm going to connect to this hose faucet here, and this is connected just after the pump before we branch off to all the other cold faucets. And now my air hose can feed in over here, and then I can blow air into the system. Now, while we had everything open to drain before, now we want to close everything and then selectively open our faucets. So I went ahead, I closed all the drains, but I have the sink faucet opened on the cold. I'll blow air through so it'll push water out that line, then I'll switch the faucet over to the hot side and blow some more air through. You want to repeat this for any faucets or sprayers you have all around the van. With the air going, I see a little bit of water trickling out the faucet. I went over to the sink, switched over to the hot side, and again saw some water sputtering out. Now that this has run for a little bit, I'm going to go ahead and disconnect the air here. So now our system should be pretty clear of water. If you don't have an air compressor though, you can use RV antifreeze instead. RV antifreeze is a freeze protecting liquid that's safe to run through your camper's water system. You do though want to make sure if you use antifreeze that when you go to de-winterize it, you thoroughly flush that antifreeze and get it all out of your plumbing, all out of your pipes before you start using that water again. And that's actually the reason why I prefer to just use the compressed air to blow out the water rather than adding any antifreeze, is because then when you go to use this system again, all you have to do is fill up the tank, reprime your pump, refill your water heater, and you don't have to worry about doing a bunch of flushes to make sure all that's cleared from your system. The antifreeze can give you some good extra protection, so let me show you how you would put it in if you want to go that route. This van has a pickup tube right here for adding RV antifreeze to the system. To use it, you would open the valve connecting to the tube and close the valve leading to the tank here. The other direction on this pipe leads to the inlet of the pump. So then we could take our pickup tube, put it down in our bottle of RV antifreeze, and turn our water pump on, and that would draw the antifreeze up and through the pump. Then you'd want to go around and open each faucet till you see just a little bit of that antifreeze pump through, and then go ahead and close the faucet, at which point you know that you've circulated it through all the parts of the system. Before pumping any antifreeze through, you want to adjust the bypass valves on your water heater so that your water heater is bypassed. It's best to avoid running any antifreeze inside the water heater itself. If you're not going to be running any RV antifreeze through the system like I'm doing here, then I would recommend blowing a little bit of air through the pump itself in order to clear any water trapped within the pump. As long as you have the air pressure low on your compressor, it's okay to blow a little bit of air through your water pump. So I'm going to go ahead and connect my air hose to this tube, and now this time I went ahead and I opened the low point drains over there, and I'll go ahead and pump a little bit of air through that water pump. Okay, so now any water trapped inside that pump should be pushed through. So now all of our fresh water supply side plumbing has been winterized, but we can't forget about the gray water side of our system. This van just has an aquatainer here under the sink to collect the gray water from the sink. So I'll go ahead and I'll disconnect this and take it out and empty it. If you have an undermount gray tank on the exterior, then you'd want to fully drain that tank. This is now empty and I can put it back in. The other thing to remember is your drain traps. If your sink or showers have HEPA dry traps under them, then you have nothing to do because those don't hold water. But if you have a more traditional P-trap, or in this case there's one of these Camco low-profile drain traps, these hold a little bit of water in them. So you have two options. You can either pour a little bit of antifreeze down the drain, and that'll just fill the trap right here, protect it from freezing, or you can disassemble it and dump out any water that's on the inside. I'm going to go ahead and do that on this one. This one comes apart with two screws right here. Then we can pull the bottom half down and drain that bit of water inside. When you put it back on, there's a rubber O-ring right here that helps seal the drain, and you want to make sure that O-ring stays in place. And then I can assemble the drain all back together. Alright, well that's all I got for this one. I hope this has been helpful, and thanks for watching. Bye.